Hello and welcome to Teletraan Tapes, the show where we break down the latest issues of Transformers Skybound comics, and sometimes we talk about the larger happenings in the Energon universe. We've got a full cast here, all our hosts, including Swizz Prime, Moonbase 3, Carl's Collection, and myself, Delta Tryon, and I have to mention that it is December, it's Christmas time, but we're also coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Teletraan Tapes. So we've been doing this for a year, and it's probably safe to say that, as a celebration for hitting the 1-year milestone, that we're at the peak of this comic, right, guys?
Yeah. Yep.
Dot dot dot.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
dot dot dot. It is Christmas time, so I guess this comic will decide if we've been on the nice or the naughty list, if this comic is a gift or if it's a piece of coal. So, okay, all right. I say all these things. Yeah, if you listen to Teletraan Tapes here on YouTube or on different streaming platforms, if you're aware of our content outside of this space, you probably have an idea that we're all a little maybe a little harsh on this issue. So I'm going to do my best to be fair to this issue and let you guys kind of give your thoughts on everything. That way we can have a critical view of this issue, but not tear it to shreds. That comes at the end of the YouTube video where I tear this one up and throw it in the fire. But are you guys ready to get going in on this one?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, make sure you take your Tylenol and your Advil before we get into this. So, page 1 of issue 27. I have to give major props to Kirkman and Dan Mora for this. We're opening right up on Swizz Prime's favorite character, Bumblebee, who is dead still. Hopefully this didn't make you too upset, Swizz, but he is indeed still dead. So I thought I could hear you crying from a few states away.
He's got blue eyes in the panel. He's right there, dude. He's a little hungover.
That's a lot of energon and oil behind him, though. I'm just
Yep.
gonna say that's a lot. So Bumblebee is he's still down. He's not back up, and this is a decently dialogue heavy section between Brawn and Trailbreaker, as well as Jetfire, as we kind of get some explanations as to how death works for Cybertronians in the Energon universe. We have these characters kind of catching the reader up on what has happened. Jetfire, again, is here to remind people that he's been offline at one point. He was unfortunately trapped in a state where he couldn't transform and he couldn't see. But we get some supposed clarification on Ratchet and Bumblebee that as long as a Cybertronian spark is not destroyed, they can, for the most part, be brought back. With the exception right now of Bumblebee and Ratchet for some reason, because they're simply too far gone. Those are the words I believe they're used on the page. You can tell I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, but this is a good section to catch readers up, and then we jump right into a new character brought on board, which we knew this guy was coming, which is Bulkhead. He's kind of this, at least I read him to be this younger, brash kind of character who comes in and definitely says some things in some awkward tones that leave everybody just staring at him. So let's just kind of look at those first 3 pages, this introduction to this idea of an explained death, as well as Bulkhead's introduction. Carl, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this section.
So I like that they are addressing the fact that there's certain things that they can and cannot do to repair the Autobots or actually any of the Transformers. In some ways, I would prefer them just to say, we need to let B recharge and rest for a while, because I don't know. I don't know that I accept the explanation of he's too far gone, and maybe it's just that's all we need to know is like, yeah, he needs more repairs than it appears he might need, because like my biggest problem, and I mentioned this in the video that I did, was Brawn took a shot to the chest for Megatron in the Energon special, and we saw that happen. He's back. He's fine. Ratchet took a shot to the chest. He's not coming back. Bumblebee took a shot to the face. Looks like his jaw is missing, and that's apparently he's too far gone. I like that they're addressing the damaged body. The explanation fully landed with me as far as the reasoning why, and it's just because we don't want to have Bumblebee or Ratchet in this book right now, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with characters returning. It just the explanation fell a little flat for me.
But we have a new Bumblebee toy coming out. Don't we want him in the comic?
I mean, after everyone else that returned this issue, no, I think we're good not having Bumblebee in the comic still. So and I'm glad. I'm happy to see new characters, and I'm kind of glad that Bumblebee is still not in the cast. But the in-universe explanation was like, okay, I guess we'll just accept it for what it is and move on.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Bulkhead joining the cast and the way he's written?
I think it's fine. I think I like that there is a youthful, a different type of energy being brought to the cast. I kind of thought that was going to be Trailbreaker. Like when he was introduced, he kind of had that youthful energy vibe to him, and then kind of took a back seat. And we can get into that later as far as characterizations. Like there were some things that I was not high on Daniel Warren Johnson, because it seems like we had characters that came back and they were really cool. Trailbreaker's entrance was great, and then kind of took a back seat. So it's not like the characterizations were not perfect under the Daniel Warren Johnson run, and I still enjoyed them. But I do like that Kirkman is kind of saying, okay, we're going to give these characters personalities, and you see that with Bulkhead. So I think in that sense, we're definitely in good hands moving forward.
Swizz, I need to know what you're thinking about this this whole explanation of death and Bumblebee and Ratchet not coming back and all that good stuff.
I mean, okay, first of all, I agree with what Carl said. Although I think he's putting it a little too light. I think this explanation sucks. I hate it. Just because like so many people come back in this like issue, I just wouldn't even have mentioned Bumblebee or Ratchet at all. It just because where's the spark? Where's the spark, man? Is it located?
His jawbone.
Yeah, the
It's in the
jaw.
jaw.
Okay,
We all know
yeah. Ratchet is it? Where's that? Is it in his
It's in
freaking
the
chest
lore,
window?
man.
Makes no
Yeah,
sense, man. Like I just wouldn't have mentioned it at all. Like, and I agree as well. Like, I don't want Bumblebee, or I don't care if Bumblebee's in the story or he's not. It's an unnecessary plot hole, because now you have to ask the question. Okay, so, and I've seen people say, well, Brawn's built different, but like I get that. I know like Brawn's always like the stronger mini bot, but he had a hole. He was a literal donut in the Energon Universe special from Megatron, and with Jetfire, kind of the same thing. And I mean, I can't remember. Was Jetfire alive when the aerial bots brought him back from the sea? Was he just chilling in the water, or was he offline? Do we remember?
I don't know if they ever
He never said-
specified. Yeah,
he never spoke, and he never. I was assuming that he was just in the same stasis that he
Yeah.
was before. Like, so he was just chilling out in the bottom of the ocean for
Okay,
however
so
long. But I think he's online, but not. He couldn't transform.
Okay, so then I won't say that Jetfire's been dead twice. I won't say that. I won't go that far. But I mean, we saw what Jetfire went through. He's back like nothing happened, and like I'm happy. I'm happy that we're getting more characters, but I think it's a little too fast, which is a common theme in this issue. So that's pretty much my thoughts.
Yeah, but so not to. I know Moon. I know you didn't talk yet, and I apologize, but I do agree. I think it's too fast in some of the characters. The point I was making with Daniel Warren Johnson was there were the characters coming back were, even like online, they were slow to build any of the numbers. The resources were really really low. It was a big deal to bring any one character back, but even like so yeah, you took that time to make Trailbreaker his return this big thing, and I was like, oh, he's going to impact the plot, and then he
Yeah.
didn't really. So it's kind of like, well, why did he come back as opposed to any other character? So as long as there's a vision and there's a reason why some of these characters are coming back, I think it's great. However, I do like how those moments felt like they were earned. Like the Autobots struggled to get to this point, and now it's just like, you know, you're back, you're back, you're back, and it does seem a little rushed. But yeah, I don't know.
It makes sense. I mean, they have all the energon. They have like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
arguing that part either. Like it just makes sense why people are coming back and people are, are getting repaired and fixed up. I like that aspect. I just
it's the
find the whole
explanation.
reasoning silly.
Yeah,
Just
but
doesn't make sense.
in some ways they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they didn't say
Right,
anything, it would
exactly.
be like,
Yeah.
where's Bumblebee? And
Did he
they
forget?
would have to address it. So this is essentially just their way of saying we know, move on, and that's all.
Yeah, this is
You know?
and I agree. Like that's and I think that's just my problem is I I respect that they're Kirkman's putting his foot down, he's drawing the line in the sand like okay, like we're not bringing him back or at
Yeah,
least not right now. That's that. I just think the explanation could have been a little bit better like
totally
just
agree.
yeah.
All right. Well, actually, I'm coming at this one from maybe a little bit different of a perspective than you guys. Um, which is not to say that I don't see where you guys are coming from. I definitely do, and like I think that your criticisms of it are totally fair. Um, I think for me, I'm coming at this having been pretty steeped in the IDW lore and how that continuity just went to sometimes kind of extreme lengths to define like what the rules are in terms of Cybertronians and like how they work and everything, which some of that stuff I did like some of that is enjoyable.
Mhm.
But some of that stuff, uh, it's, I mean, it's a lot, first of all,
Snooze fest.
so like, there's so much stuff to keep track of. And I kind of wonder if maybe it was a conscious decision on the part of Kirkman to not do something so convoluted.
Mhm.
I think the goal that they have with this comic is that they want it to be accessible and for people to be able to just pick it up off the stands and not have to know all this it's like, well, did he get shot in the the brain. I
Yeah,
can't even remember what they call it, like the brain. What is it called in
Brain
IDW? The
module?
brain. Is the brain module? Yeah. Did he get shot in the
I'd have
brain
to go back
module or
and
the
read it.
spark or like? But the thing
Mhm.
about with IDW is that like sometimes they had all those rules, but sometimes it didn't even really like matter that much. Like
Right.
there were things where it's like, how is this person still alive? Like how is Starscream still alive after getting a hole just obliterated, like in his, you know, going off of the rules. So for me, you know, I wasn't as bothered by the explanation here. I one thing I thought was kind of cool was that they weaved in the well of sparks into kind of the whole thing, which that kind of made me think, oh well, maybe that's why Huffer and Cup, who seem to suffer like really bad injuries, maybe they were taken to the Well of Sparks like around the time that they brought Shredhead back online, and maybe that's why they're back. I don't know. I like that they introduced the Well of Sparks as um, like something that could maybe help with like more serious injuries. I remember Johnson teased something in like the
yeah.
letters
We're not
column.
done with that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Johnson teased something in like the letters column where he said that like something he was introducing something in his run that would maybe help with any resurrections in the future or whatever. So I'm assuming that must be the Well of Sparks. But anyway, what I walked away from this being like, okay, they're keeping it simple. It's just like they're acknowledging it. They're saying, these characters aren't coming back. But, and like, I think that it's also maybe, you said that they were damned if they did and they were damned if they didn't. And I think that that maybe applies to like how they wanted to tackle this too. Like they could either keep it vague and maybe that would be kind of unsatisfying or ruffle some feathers, rightfully so, when, certain characters just arbitrarily are not brought back. They could set a bunch of rules and then invariably have to break those.
Yeah.
And when, Bumblebee is going to come back. Like, Hasbro's on the same
Spoilers!
page. Hasbro's on the same page right now where it's like we don't want Bumblebee in the spotlight as much, but eventually they're going to be like, "Hey, we need you to hype up Bumblebee. He needs to be featured more in the comic." And so I feel like they gave themselves a little bit more they give themselves a little bit of flexibility, and they just kind of made a choice. It's like who is going to be like more upset about which way we go with this, because I don't think they had a good option. But I mean, that being said, I think Carl, you mentioned this in your video that I mean, as for the issue as a whole, has like the vibe of like a Saturday morning cartoon. And I know you meant that in a more pejorative sense, but that's actually something that I kind of like about this issue. But we'll get into that more. It's not necessarily this section, so we'll get into that more. But, I think that that's kind of just part of the vision for this continuity. And I think it was there in Johnson's run. And yeah, so I mean, they're really drawing from that whole like Optimus gets shot with this random puny laser that Megatron finds randomly on the battlefield. Dead. Ultra Magnus gets completely blown apart. And you just stick him back together, give him a wax, he's fine. So for better or worse, they are drawing from that continuity and that like kind of nonsensical like the rules that governed that continuity. So, I again, I'm not sitting here saying like, "Oh, you guys are wrong. You just don't get it." Like I'm just saying like I'm coming at it from a different perspective where not having to get like super deep into like, "Oh, this is why," and this is the physiology of the Transformers and therefore, like I find it to be a little refreshing personally. So, now the execution, yeah, we can always debate whether or not the execution really worked or not. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
That the Saturday morning cartoon thing, like that, in all fairness, like I didn't mean that to be like a super negative thing, because it's just it's the more like I read it and the more I sit with it, it's a tone shift, and it's getting used to that tone shift. But it does this to me feels this whole issue feels more like a cartoon, like an episode of the cartoon I would want to watch today. There's some of the episodes where you're just like, I don't know, that didn't really age as well as they could have. So, but
All of season 2 almost.
Ooh.
I was trying to be kind there. I don't want to. I've already offended probably too many. I didn't want to go that route. But it is. It's a comic or a cartoon that I would want to watch today. So, not a bad thing. It's just it's a tonal vibe shift or vibe shift of the
For sure.
comic. So
Moving into those next few pages, we're taking a look at Carly and Spike. We're getting back to their characters. If you're a long-time listener of the show, then I'm always in the background, upset and kicking my feet, and get angry that Carly and Spike are not the main focus of this comic about giant robots that we don't get to hear about these humans. But Carly and Spike are getting some time where they can talk, and Spike is like, "Hey, you want to go grab some dinner?" He doesn't say it like that. He asks, Carly if they want to spend some time together to kind of figure out how life is going to work now that their role in this broader fight is kind of dwindled down. But before that can really go anywhere, we're actually getting to something that I know myself and I really think Carl was really missing from last issue, and that's the confrontation between Flag and Ultra Magnus. And Carl, I'd like you to speak on this one, since this was a pretty big, maybe not point of contention, but a pretty big topic for you from issue 25 and 26.
Yeah, it was. It was a confrontation. I felt like they were kind of dismissive of, maybe, I don't know if that's the right word, but like dismissive of the experience that Ultra Magnus had under the when he was with Flag and captive by them. So I was anticipating having them have this conversation, or having Magnus just say something to Prime, like say, hey, uh, just beware of this guy. I know he's helping us out. He's bringing us to Energon, but let's just not be too trusting of him. And I feel like what I was honestly looking for was more of that conversation. I was looking for more of a conversation between Magnus and Prime, not necessarily Magnus and Flag. And
Yes.
so, I mean, I got it here, and I kind of think Flag gets off light here. I don't think that Magnus scores a lot of points as far as his points of view. And I was kind of like, I was kind of let down by this conversation, because it didn't need to be. All it needed to be was like I said, just Magnus as like kind of like a second in command, be like, yo, let's keep an eye on this guy, and that's all it needed to be. So I
Or
don't
even
know.
just a side eye.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just like this. That's really, that's all you need. Is just it's to show the acknowledgement between Prime and Magnus, but they're clearly going a different direction. They're like they're leaning into a Prime and Magnus divide,
Right.
and that kind of took me off, caught me off guard. But this conversation directly between them, I still, and I might be working myself up to get upset by something, but I still cannot put my finger on who the hell Flag is. I mean, he's never really consistently been portrayed as the same character. So he does seem like he's all over the place.
We all know
So
who he
he's
is.
kind of, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's not somebody in disguise, I will be, I think, pretty let down, because otherwise, why is he being written like this? Why, he was this stern military guy. Even when we saw him in it was the end of the Destro miniseries,
Mhm.
where he's clearly got different motives. He's has communication with various shady characters in Destro and Miles Mayhem. So he's up to something, right? But then he comes across as this over the top friendly, like, hey guys, it's me. Like
Super
he's every time he
egotistical.
did it again. Like he entered this stage when he's talking to Carly and Spike. He's like, "What's up, guys? It's me, General Flag." And it's
Don't
just
you
like,
love me?
yeah, dial it back, dude. So that's why, if he's being written like that because he's trying too hard, then I think it's great. If it's just because it's for comedic relief, it doesn't land as well with me. So I don't know. He's up to something, and I still don't trust him. And we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
If he was in disguise, what character, Swizz, do you have any idea? Like, what character could that be, do you think? ...
Oh, yeah, shoot with the dot, dot, dot.
Oh, man.
Dang
Uh,
it, man.
But
Speaking of
yeah,
Swizz. Oh, no, go ahead.
no, I hope that's what it is. I hope that's the direction we're going.
That he's dot, dot, dot.
That he's dot.
From G.I.
Doggone.
Joe.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that we're not confusing dot, dot, dot from G.I. Joe with dot, dot, dot from a different from a different franchise.
Right.
Right. Well, I'd love to hear, Swizz, your thoughts on this section as well, whether it be the Flag and Magnus situation or what's going on with Spike and Carly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Carl. Like, there's nothing I can like really add on at this point, because it's hard to read Flag, and I don't like how Magnus just kind of he doesn't push back. That's just
He
my
just kind of takes
biggest.
it.
He just takes it, and it's
And it kind of like
weird
rolls over.
because
It's like, okay, I won't
yeah,
say anything to Prime.
it's weird. I mean, we have the iconic dot 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 in this freaking page as well. So like, we're not off to a good start there. So like, I mean, like Delta, you mentioned it. Like Flag just kind of weasels his way out of this conversation,
Mhm.
and like that's like the best way of putting it because Flag just says a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo, and Magnus is like, okay, he just doesn't say anything. So I mean, I don't know. Like, and I feel like Spike and Carly in this issue was just like obligatory. Like it was just like it was like they were like, okay, we got to put them in somehow, and like
Mhm.
that's how it's
Yeah.
just whatever.
I do
Yeah.
think they look great though. I mean, I think the Spike and Carly they're drawn well. I think Spike loses a little bit of his personality. He kind
Mhm.
of looks a little too kind of bland to me here, but Carly looks great. So like, Dan Mora can draw as a damn
I
good
think
human.
Mora drew Magnus great on that bottom panel of that page
Yeah,
of like
yeah,
Spike Carly. Like,
Where
wow.
he's standing over him.
Yep.
great
Mhm.
scale, great like perspective of that. Yeah,
Not to get too far into it, I'll say for myself, I am enjoying Dan Moore's art a lot more than I was originally. Not that I was against it in the first place, but
Yeah, it's
I
growing
am
on me. I
enjoying it
like
a
it.
lot more.
I like it now.
Um, I Moon, I'd like to get your thoughts on this whole Spike and Carly situation, and I'll kind of start it off by saying, of course, I always like to hear from Spike and Carly, but for me personally, I found this interaction between them to feel very strange, very awkward, especially when it comes to the dialogue where we see Spike um, say, come on, if you want more security, your new friend who transforms into your old van can drive us. And before I let you loose, whether you're going to be on my side or not, I completely understand that when it comes to comics, you often have to reintroduce ideas to the readers in case you have new readers. I always use Daredevil as an example. I was reading through a Daredevil book, and like every 5, 6 issues, he's re-explaining that he's blind. And at first, I was like, yeah, I know that you're blind, dude. Oh yeah, we gotta kind of reintroduce some of these ideas to new readers. But I don't know. I just found that line to be very. I mean, just call him Shredhead. Just say his name. Did you feel this conversation between Spike and Carly was strange, was off putting, or am I just crazy?
I mean, I definitely felt it was strange. And for the reasons that you described, like it is kind of strange to be like to say everything that he says, but then not to say Shredhead's name. It's just kind
Hmm.
of like, are you or are you not informing new readers who this
Yeah.
character is? Like, I don't think the reader got the information that they needed. Like, if they, especially if they just dropped in issue 25, I don't think they're
Right.
gonna have the context for that. So it kind of doesn't really work uh, as that. I didn't really mind like the dialogue itself that much. I think I was more bothered by the previous word bubble where I, but it's a very similar thing to like what you're describing. It's like something about it just seemed odd to me where it's just like thanks to our giant robot friends, it's just like what?
We can now
Uh
go grab dinner.
yeah.
What? We can eat dinner?
it's like
Um
they've been enough. They've been through enough to like. You don't need to add those like colorful language. Like they get it.
Hmm.
But yeah, so no, I do agree that I think that the interaction, like I appreciate like what is this is gonna I think this is gonna be a recurring theme throughout this issue. I appreciate the underlying idea of what the intent was,
Hmm.
um, but something about the execution just fell flat for me. Um, and to your point, Carl, I 100% agree with how Spike is visually depicted. It's it's very similar to like how John Byrne drew Kitty Pryde. Paul Smith as well. He kept that alive. But then you go to like somebody else picking up the art in Uncanny X-Men, and then she just looks like any of the other women on the team. Like
Yeah.
she uh, for people who are listening who might not know what I'm talking about, like Kitty Pryde in like her original appearance in the X-Men, she was like kind of drawn as like an awkward teenager. So she
Youthful
had
head.
like, yeah, exactly. She like, I mean, she is kind of similar to Spike. She had like kind of like big ears and yeah, like Yeah. So, but I agree that like there's just some visual character that has been lost. And, I also agree that I think that the stuff with Flag and Magnus, like I'm having a really hard time. Like I appreciate that they're kind of in some ways leaning into how much of a jerk Flag is, rather than trying to make him like overly like sympathetic or anything. And like, I definitely did not like him during this interaction, which I think was the point, because he
Yeah.
like not only like shows like any kind of remorse, but he like doubles down and is just like, no, you baby, we didn't torture you. And it's like, I don't know, man. He like was like screaming on that panel. Like, so
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
ends it with like the, tattle away, red, white, and blue. It's just like,
Right.
go ahead, you big crybaby, go cry to Prime. You know?
Like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, this character is not like he's not like a great guy, which works. I don't have to
Yeah,
like Flag for him to be a good character, but I think that it's just like there's like so much other stuff where it's just like, he just kind of saunters up to, "Hey, Carly, remember me? Oh, didn't we have good times when I was holding you captive, basically, and interrogating you?" It's
yeah,
just like there's just I don't know. There's something about it is just a little. You said something to the effect of like you can't really get a handle on him, or you can't put your finger on him as a
yeah.
character.
Like what
That's
his
how I'm
motives
feeling
are,
too.
where
Yeah,
but maybe that's the point. Like he's just
maybe.
he'll say whatever he needs to say in the situation, and some of that kind of prickish uh attitude is coming through in the dialogue. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
what one last thing about the Spike and Carly scene, Moon, I agree. I agree with the and it's a lot in this issue. It's the underlying what the message they're trying to convey is that it's a reminder that Spike and Carly are dating, and that's not something that really has been addressed, in the comic, and that's fine. But like, early on they were just going on. It just was like implied, like they were just together, and but it's not really been addressed. I feel like in any of the dialogue since then. So, just to reestablish that them as a couple is okay. That's fine. It's just it seems out of place, and it seems kind of like I don't know. Is this really what they would be talking about right now after going through everything they went through? So I don't know, but it's good to see. It's good to see them reestablish like that connection between them. But
He's got
execution,
that confidence
question mark.
booster from
Yeah,
being compared to Optimus Prime last issue,
yeah.
so he's going for it. He's
He's
shooting his
like,
shot.
yeah, yeah,
Moving on to these next pages, we're jumping over to the Decepticons here, and I love the Combaticons. They're my favorite group of Decepticons. So having a chance to see them interact a little bit more with each other and in this world is neat. It's interesting to see Swindles talking here and kind of giving us this information that the Decepticons are kind of on the back foot now. They're kind of running low on energon, as we've seen, and the energy that they're stealing from the humans here is so diluted that it's really not going to be enough. It's going to be an issue. Blast Off is blasting some humans here and there, and Skywarp pops up. And this is an interesting interaction between Skywarp and Onslaught and the rest of the Decepticons as he kind of shows up and he's like, "Hey, I've got news for Megatron. I got to tell him some stuff." And Onslaught's like, "Hey, why don't we kill some humans while we're at it?" And we get to see Skywarp do just that. That he's kind of reveling in this killing of the humans. And so for me, it's kind of a callback to what the Decepticons were like at the very beginning of this series. That some of them kind of enjoyed the meaningless slaughter of innocent humans. And I definitely do feel that this section here is used to kind of bookend what's coming next with Thundercracker to show the stark comparison. I guess actually, do you guys feel like we should talk about both of those sections together?
I mean, yeah, because there's not like a whole lot going on here. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, okay. So having Skywarp, kind of interact in that way and show him just so flippantly willing to kill humans again is a nice contrast to the conversation that Thundercracker and Optimus are having, where Thundercracker, explains that he still believes in the Decepticon cause, he still believes in all that, but he doesn't understand the meaningless killing of innocents and the constant lying and all of this. And so Optimus and Thundercracker have this moment to discuss. There's a lot talked about here. We get a visual callback to the deer, which we've seen. This is the fourth time now that we've seen the deer, I believe, in this series in total. Um, Optimus and Thundercracker just get to go back and forth a lot, and there's some really meaningful dialogue in here that I like, even if, again, as we've said multiple times, the execution is maybe not the greatest. But Swizz, I'd like to hear from you between these two sections. What kind of stood out for you?
Okay, so to me, I like that they have this conversation. Well, okay, so first of all, let me just say, like, I was very confused by Blastoff thinking Skywarp's an Autobot. I thought that was really weird. But I agree though, it was nice seeing the Combaticons. But what Optimus talking to Thundercracker, I like this conversation, but I think I might be in the minority. I think it's a little over wordy with the dialogue. I think there's a lot of over
Could have used
talking
a
going
few
on.
more panels of just characters looking.
Yeah, especially like Optimus and like I mean I imagine we'll get into Optimus here in a little bit because this conversation I really like, but I also dislike because for one, I feel like the conversation between Thundercracker talking about how violence can be a means to an end, but it feels wrong to take such glee in it. I really like that, and I like that side of Thundercracker, and it's
Mhm.
me, like, to anyone, like, listening and are like, "Oh, man, like, this isn't the first time." Well, to me, it is because I didn't read the IDW stuff. I didn't know that any of this with Thundercracker was even a thing before. So, to me, this is new, and to me, this is fresh, and I see some people upset that they're going down this road with Thundercracker and, all of that, but I disagree. I like this, and I like the conversation about Optimus asking if any of the other Decepticons would share the same opinion as Thundercracker were, you know, if they would have a second thought of, not even like joining the Autobots, but more of like stepping down. Cause I feel like Optimus isn't really asking, well, I mean at the end, but I think at first he's not really asking him to like join the Autobots. More of just trying to pick his brain about how he views each side and how one side is a lot more brutal than the others. And I really do like how Thundercracker just flat out says that, you know, no, that these
Mhm.
Decepticons are just clouded by Megatron and their loyalty to Megatron, and they don't see the value of life forms. But what really grabs my attention is how Optimus brings up how there's people in his ranks that have that same kind of opinion about how they don't see the value of the life forms on Earth. And although yes, like they are good people, they have a good heart, they don't see the same way Optimus and Thundercracker see Earth and how it has this majesty to it. And I really love how Thundercracker brings up that if he had like a an exchange where like 100 humans or 100 animals or whatever or Skywarp, he would still choose Skywarp.
Mhm.
And I like how Optimus just tells him that he shouldn't be ashamed of his brotherhood. But I have a problem with the last panel because
Mm.
I think all this moves too quickly for my liking. I guess we'll see that later in this issue, but that's really my thoughts because there's a lot to digest here. There's not really too much to digest with like Skywarp joining back because it's hey, it's me, guys, Skywarp, and yeah, let's shoot all the people at the power plant because yeah. But with Thundercracker and Optimus, it's a lot more deep. So I don't want to
Mhm.
speak too much on this because I know you guys all have opinions on this.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start off with the stuff with the Decepticons first because I do agree there's not that much to talk about, but I do think that it was just a cool thing to include and a cool way to kind of get Skywarp back in the mix because they could have just had him like show up at the Nemesis or whatever. So this is kind of a little bit more fun. It's they're attacking like this dam or whatever. So it's like uh, you know, uh, again, going back to something Carl said, this is like the G1 cartoon that I would want to watch today, and like that's, this section, like there's not much to say about it, but it's just like, yeah, this is like they're doing it. They're making a comic that feels like a better version of the G1 cartoon. Um, and like I appreciate that about it. Um, but moving into the Thundercracker stuff, I will say this, Swizz. I think that I don't know that like the comparisons to IDW are that justified. I you know I think that this is pretty distinct. Um, Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you could say that, like, yeah, there is a case of, been there, done that. But, like you said, like, you haven't experienced the IDW continuity. So I think that, I do think that this is an interesting idea. And I do agree that I think that it moves pretty fast. But, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, also, like, this is a series that is kind of like known for moving pretty fast. And I mean, like Spike has gone from like being in a wheelchair to fully walking in the span of like 3 issues. Um, so it's like, on the one hand, it's like, that's not anything new for the series. But on the other hand, I do feel like it feels different with this somehow. Um, like I think with when we're talking about both Johnson and Kirkman, like they obviously have things that they're prioritizing more than other things, and they're kind of treating those other things like these are things that we just need to get through kind of as quickly as possible. So it feels rushed to me, but again, to play devil's advocate a little bit, like maybe Kirkman feels like they've already done enough to build up this moment and like the one that's going to come at the end of the book with all of the stuff that Johnson, like the groundwork that Johnson laid in his run. I would disagree with that, but I mean, maybe they feel that they've already done enough to kind of get into the moment.
Not to step on you. I absolutely agree with that because I had the same thought. It's like this seems so rushed. However, the seeds have been planted way back. I forget when the first one was. Was it issue 8 when they were on the
I
aircraft
think
carrier?
so.
Was
Yeah.
that the
Yeah, it was
first
back in
time?
volume
I couldn't
two.
remember if it happened in volume 1 at all, but so we've seen this coming. It just so it's like it in that sense the change has been earned, but like the rapid nature of it's really it's that last page, not the last page, but the moment we see later on, that's I
Hmm.
think the sticking point. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but that's this is kind of like the sticking point for me. I was like, okay, that feels a little too far, a little too soon, with the reveal of of the insignia.
Yeah.
But in this
No,
moment, it's a good
totally.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. This moment, that's a great point, actually. Like, I'm looking at this knowing where it's ending up. And so I'm maybe like getting ahead of myself a little bit. So I do think that, this moment, it does work for the most part. And then, I do think that this whole section is just really beautiful. The panels are, I love the colors, like the blossoms in the trees and everything. But, and I'm sure that this will come up again, but I am, and I'm probably the only one. Like, I'm reading some of this stuff a little, with like, there's a little ambiguity to it. I don't know if like the I believe you already have panel. It's just kind of like, do we trust Thundercracker? Is he being sincere here? Like, and they're being really cagey about it with the art, I think. Like, this will come up again, but there's another moment in the book where it's just like they aren't really letting us see Thundercracker during these kind of like pivotal things that he's saying about, being an Autobot. And so it does make me wonder, like, if there is some kind of deception in play. It does make me wonder, like, you know, maybe I'm being too hard on this, because maybe that'll it would make more sense if there was like some, but I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of rambling now at this
I
point.
would
I think.
absolutely hate that. Not to like
Well,
cut
see,
in, but I would hate that.
I feel like I would rather have them because then it underscores the beauty of this scene. Like
Yep.
because I really do enjoy this scene. I like what is said. I like the messages that they're conveying. I like how I like Delta. You said it's a nice bookend. I think the Skywarp scene serves two purposes. Like Moon said, it gets him back with the Decepticons. Also shows the struggling nature that they're on their back foot. So that there's they don't have access to Energon. So the roles have been reversed a little bit. So that scene in short, it accomplishes multiple things. That's great. I like that scene. And then to have it move into this conversation, um, I really do really enjoy the where Thundercracker his story has been, where it's going. I feel like I don't want them to do that. Don't want them to be. I don't want this to be like a swerve and then say, you know what, actually he's doing this just to mess
Just
with the
kidding,
Autobots. And
guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would really not like that. I would rather it's like commit and do this, and I think it's great because like, it's going to lead to I think some great moments with Skywarp. It can lead to Thundercracker saying, "Look, dude, I still love you. You're my brother, but I don't agree with the path you're on," and that's great. That's meat for the story, and I think that's fantastic. So I want Thundercracker to mean what he's saying here. I do want to call out just because we've been doing this. So that first page of the conversation ends with him talking, and it's it doesn't mean I don't want them to die. Turn the page. Prime has not started talking yet, and there's a dot 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 from Thundercracker. So it's not the dot 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 is
It's not
not in
necessary.
response to anybody.
He's dotting himself.
Himself. Right. So because and again, my biggest problem with the dot 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 stuff is um I let the art do what the art is supposed to do because you don't need that because your eye naturally is going to start with Thundercracker. It's going to move from left to right. So you see him kind of, having that moment of pause and thinking about what he's said, and then Optimus responds. So you don't need the dot dot dot.
They could have just added like a gutter, like sorry not to interrupt,
No,
but
no,
like
no,
they
no, yeah, you're good.
just like one of those like panels where it is like a continuous image, but they just add a gutter to just
Mhm.
kind of add like a little bit of a pause, like a breath
Yeah,
between like so you linger on Thundercracker a little bit more, but then you just slide over to Optimus. Like I
yeah.
feel like that would have accomplished it and been a lot more like that would have been stronger than having the dot dot dot.
And maybe it was after the fact. Maybe they looked at it and thought, with the art being what it was, and when the art came in, and they're like, maybe we do need that. Maybe we need people to linger on Thundercracker just a second. So maybe that's why it's there. I don't love that because I feel like I, as the reader, understand that, and I don't need that. But maybe it's helpful for others. I don't know. I can't speak for everyone. It just for me, I was like, he just dot dot dotted himself. Like we get it. So, but the scene, I do love it. I to your other point, Moon, about having him say that and maybe kind of be playing to Prime. They do. Prime is far enough away that it feels like he's saying this to himself. It's
Yep.
like it's like,
Mhm.
oh, gosh, golly, I think you already have, man. But I also to go back to letting the art do the job. I don't like that. I don't like him actually saying it out loud. I feel like you had the perfect opportunity to have him glance back towards the deer or something, and that implies one, it connects it back to the common theme that we've seen with the deer throughout the story, and then it also it shows that he's letting Prime's words sink in, and I feel like that's a stronger thing to convey than it is to just for him to come out and say out loud to who just, "Yeah, I believe you already have." That to me is that was a bit much because
You're
I'd rather
100%
feel
right.
it than hear it or see it. It's just like that. I want to
Mhm.
feel what he's going through. So
Because then the insignia part wouldn't have been that like bad. Because if there wasn't the whole "I believe you already have," I feel like then it would have kind of been like a little bit of a
and
somewhat of a
again,
surprise.
maybe that's what they're like, well, actually, if we don't have that, then the reveal is maybe too jarring. because it's like it's him saying, "Here, I think you already have." But again, that this whole part is that part is way too fast. Like there are better ways to make him earn his stripes in as far as getting a logo slapped onto him, because you just spent this time showing the difference between Autobots and Decepticons, but also showing that there's similarities, because there's some Autobots that are don't necessarily see eye to eye with Prime. So there's they're saying there's nuance in what it means to be an Autobot and Decepticon. While having, yes, there are stark differences, but there's also, like I said, nuance within that. And then to say later on, you're like, okay, the logo's on him, you're an Autobot. I just feel like that's a bit much, and it goes against with some of the dialogue of what they're trying to convey as far as what it means to be good or bad or whatever, or in these factions. So I don't know. I would much rather have that part weighted.
Yeah, and that might be part of like why I'm like, I mean, I think some of it is the art specifically more later on, but like that might be part of why I'm just like, is there some kind of ulterior motive? Is Cobra Law involved here somehow? And I think maybe it's just because it's like so jarring. Like, I mean, I think it was you, Carl. You brought this up. I don't remember when or where, but you mentioned how we go from Thundercracker being like die Autobots or death to all Autobots or whatever to just being like, hey, I'm an Autobot now, and it's like
Right, yeah, in like a
so
span of like
yeah. So I definitely I think that I think that you guys are probably right that this is probably being played pretty straight, and I think that there's just something about it that is not working for me. So I'm like, oh, he's got some angle. He's got to. It just doesn't make sense otherwise.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the same thing with Flag and myself. I'm just like, there's got to be like he's undercover, he's in disguise, because otherwise his character doesn't make sense. So, and that's a dangerous path to go down, because then
maybe the characters just don't make sense.
Right? And they're like, I don't want to live in that world either.
I have something to say about Optimus later on, but we'll get there.
So
yeah.
So,
well, speaking
overall,
about getting there,
good scene. Yeah.
I think this next section of the comic, I feel like we can go over pretty quickly, just to save ourselves some times. Spoiler alert: Miles Mayhem is a bad guy. Okay.
What?
All right.
Scratch. What?
Okay.
What?
No way.
I mean, he's still got a really cool outfit. I have already complained about his dialogue on my own channel.
He's a Jim and the Holograms character, right?
Yes, he actually is. And Flag shows up and is like, "Hey, you're a bad guy," and he lays him out and says, "You're going to jail, buddy." I don't really know if anybody else has anything else to say about this section. It's absolutely welcome if anybody has thoughts.
Matt Tracker. Yay.
Zarbon.
Yeah,
I'm curious to hear what Moon, where your take on this scene is.
So, I didn't like this, you guys. I did not like this.
Neither did I. I don't think any of us really did.
So the whole thing where he's just like, I'm not reverse engineering their tech. Is that what you like?
Yeah.
What? Like it was like, what was the point of everything that we did in the previous issues? Like, it's again.
I was only
like,
using them to show how good I am, how good my tech is. Like they had Mirage and Bulkhead there. Like they clearly were like doing stuff. Like what were they doing?
Yeah, it's just like, Flag shows up and just like applies like the gentlest touch, and he just like confesses everything. It's like, what are you saying? That I shot that scientist and that I've been secretly reverse engineering the Transformers behind your back? Like,
Flag just escaped getting crushed by Ultra Magnus, and he feels great. He's like, I'm gonna go beat up this old man real quick.
You're like,
I'm gonna go in this old general, beat him up.
Yeah.
I'm on a roll.
I just feel like a lot of it, I'm just really confused. Like I'm just really
I agree.
confused. Like it feels like Kirkman, like he started setting something up, and then he, like, on the one hand, it feels like he's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm doing something different now. And then on the other hand, it feels like he is just like, well, I need to get to this point, and the middle stuff doesn't really matter that much. So this is just what's happening now. Um, but yeah, like I'm just really confused by this part. Like I feel like there again, like, you know, there was a way that this could have been handled where you get to the place that, you know, you get to by the end of this section where it's Miles Mayhem is not a buffoon who is just like, yeah, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So what? And then it's just like, I don't know. Like there's like some deception and some lies that are going on here, and he does take a swing at Flag, but then Flag's just like, you're a traitor. It's just like, whoa, this like this
Yeah.
escalated really quickly. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah, it's like Anchorman.
yeah.
But that to me, the same thing. I thought, and there's multiple things at play here, maybe because if they continue the plot line of Flag working with Mayhem, you are then it's we as the reader know not to trust Flag, but it's probably more important for the story for us to think Flag is being kind to the Autobots. So they want us to believe his motives there. So you almost have to break up the alliance of Flag and Mayhem to preserve the mystery of what his true motives are with the Transformers.
So Mayhem being like the scapegoat.
Right. So they go, let's cut off this partnership, so that way it
Mhm.
preserves for the reader. We still his motives are still unknown. So you're like, oh, maybe he is like, more on the up and up, and maybe he didn't know some of this nasty stuff that the clear villain was up to. But then it makes Flag look like a buffoon. So I mean, I don't know. It's just I thought it was cool in the first setup when you first introduced to Flag and Mayhem being there. And I thought it was a cool wink to, yeah, his name clearly is he's a villain, but I thought it was a cool wink to those in the know that, something's up here and it's not necessarily on the up and up. We shouldn't trust these guys. And then it's here you go. Here's all the energon you need, and I'm a great guy. And it's lost to me because I feel like I am confused as to what I'm supposed to think, what they want us to, to latch onto, and it's not clear. Like I thought this partnership would kind of go on a little longer, or the charade, or whatever it is. But it just, if they both were very intelligent between like with Flag and Mayhem, I think you could have had them play each other a little longer and have scenes like that to still get to the point where like there actually maybe there is a rift there. It doesn't need to be so cartoony in this moment, and that's where it kind of like lost it for me. It's like, okay, that really
That
did
happened.
escalate quickly. Yeah, like that happened, and he's a villain. You're a traitor. Lock him up. Like I don't know. It just again,
Take them away,
just-
boys.
it just caught me
I'm
off guard.
chiseled steel, son.
See, I liked the whole thing where he's like, you think I fished my rank out of the bottom of a cereal
Yeah,
box? I'm
that's
chiseled
funny, I like
steel,
that.
son. Because it's just such a douchey thing to say.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it really works for, I guess, the douchey part of General Flag, which, you
Yeah.
know, if that is the main, I don't know who he is as a character, but that
Well,
part of him is
he
very
had to
well
like
conveyed.
he had to one up Mayhem because Mayhem's like, I'm on my own path, and like, all right, shut up, guy. Like it's like they're like one upping each other with like these weird kind of things. So, yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It does the purpose that it blows up the alliance, or at least it blows up the illusion of the alliance, which we could still learn later on that Flag is doing this for show. And then we'll later on realign his motives with Mayhem. So I don't know. I mean, who knows? It feels clunky. It feels weird here though. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Perfect,
where, and again,
perfect way to describe it.
it's like you mentioned before. So many things about this issue. I'm fine with where it ends up. I just
It's
don't know
getting
that
there.
I
It's
exactly
getting there that
exactly.
doesn't it's
That's
and
yeah.
I feel like the perfect summation for this issue is clunky and weird. So Carl got the tagline.
Guys, he
There-
said
there we
that, not
go.
me. Guys, spare me. Viewers, spare me. He said that, not me.
Swizz, I
is
can't
still-
believe that you called this issue clunky and weird.
Crazy, Swizz. Really, a 2 out of 10?
How dare you, Swizz?
Whoa.
We're not even finished with the comic yet. Ugh. Speaking of finishing the comic, we're jumping back to the arc, and we're getting some of the rift between Wheeljack and Optimus, which I've been enjoying. You know, Wheeljack is obviously not fully on board with everything Optimus is doing. We get to see some more Decepticons, which is always great to see some more bodies. We're let in on this detail that all the Autobots that were on the Ark have been revived, and that any who are missing must have fallen out when it crashed on Earth. There's some dialogue between Thundercracker and Optimus, which I will get back to. I promise. I'll get back to it. Optimus considers reviving some more Decepticons, and Thundercracker says no. It's really not a good idea. Kind of continuing on with what's going on at this point, we've got Ultra Magnus, who's training with Blaster and Sideswipe, who are here now. So, surprise, they're here.
Yeah, they are.
Ultra Magnus gets to have this conversation with RC, and it's revealed to us that similar to the way that Tryon is a title of wisdom, which is something we learned in Void Rivals, the title of Magnus means something as well. And Ultra Magnus is talking to RC, and he's kind of relaying this idea that he no longer feels worthy to hold this title, that he's become slower after what's been done to him by Shockwave and everything that's happened, and he thinks that title should be relinquished to his Iron Apprentice RC, and so he offers her up that title, and that last panel there is kind of RC staring at him with probably a very surprised look as to what's going on. So these 3 pages I definitely want to discuss. I am going to read this bit of Optimus Prime dialogue, and then I invite any of you all to just jump right in. Thundercracker is saying, "Hey, it's probably not a good idea if we revive these other Decepticons. It's just not going to turn out really well." And the great Optimus Prime says, "You are right, Thundercracker. It is a flaw of mine to project kindness on those who have none." All right. I'm just gonna. You guys can take the rest of the episode from here.
Here, I'll do this.
Please,
'Cause
let's go.
this is probably no, this is my least favorite part of this issue. I hate this. I hate this, and like it's gotten to a point where I think really hard about it, and I've come to the conclusion yesterday actually, and I'm like, okay, it's 2 things. Either one, Kirkman is really hammering down on Optimus's quote unquote flaw or flaws, which would really be bad, at least in my opinion. Or 2, and man, I hope it's 2 because I can kind of let this one go. He's testing Thundercracker's character. That's my only conclusion of like why he's the well, 2 conclusions as to why he says this, because it makes 0 sense. And I feel like this is super out of character, and I've seen people say they disagree with me on that, and that's fine. That's okay.
They're wrong.
I well, it's not even the fact of that. It's just look, man, you've been at war with these guys for millions of years. The way I look at it is it's a miracle alone that they convinced or Optimus convinced Thundercracker to step down, because it's like what you guys brought up earlier. This dude Thundercracker was saying death to all Autobots and was making quick work of Wheeljack and Jazz. Now, when Ultra Magnus stepped in, it was all fine. And it took Optimus, because Wheeljack and Jazz were like pleading to Thundercracker, like, "Yo, stop! Like we're not trying to fight you. You know, don't try and destroy Skywarp." It took Optimus to like put this dude, to calm him down. And then this dude Optimus at the same time, when literally last issue, when Skywarp was brought back online. Now I'm gonna shout out to my dad here. Shout out to my pops, because this bothered me so much. I had to talk to him about it. And anyone who doesn't know, he's a lifelong Transformers fan, Marvel fan. Like he reads comics. He legitimately looked at me crazy when I told him that the Autobots, more specifically Optimus Prime, was considering doing this after with what happened with Skywarp. Because when Skywarp was brought back online, what did Skywarp do? He attacked everyone. So why would you want to bring back online these juggernauts of characters? And like
Blitzwing.
Blitzwing, a literal juggernaut, a triple changer. And like I think if it was just Blitzwing, Autobots are gonna get destroyed. And like, yeah, maybe once Ultra Magnus steps in, it's fine. But then we got Dirge and Slipstream. And what do all three of these bots have in common? They can turn into jets. It is a recipe of like for a huge disaster. And it is so just stupid. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's stupid. I hate this so much because it makes no sense. And then for Optimus to just say, you're right. You know, it's a flaw of mine. You project kindness onto those. Buddy, you've been at war with these guys for millions of years. And my problem is what we learned in the earlier volumes. They describe Optimus Prime on Cybertron as a savage, as a killer. The way when he and we'll get to Shockwave in a little bit, but when he killed Shockwave, quote unquote, Alita commented saying, you're starting to look like your older self. That's implied to me that this dude was a freaking savage on Cybertron. Like that, like him what he was doing to Shockwave was a normal day when they were at war on Cybertron. So for him to like, and I'm not saying like Optimus is like this murdering psychopath. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, where's the common sense, man? Like what? Like you see three of these bots here, and although I think it's weird how they're just letting them chill on the floor. Like I've seen some people say, like, man, just like put them away, or like even have like a burial. Yeah, it's just weird that they have these guys just chilling on the floor, and
Dude,
like, man,
Bumblebee's bleeding out.
exactly,
Bumblebee's,
yeah,
like, on the
exactly. It's
floor,
weird.
Just walk into
First
someone's
page.
house and there's
Yeah.
a bunch of dead bodies. And you're like, they'll be
Exactly.
fine.
And like, shout out Wheeljack. Like this dude's like he has zero patience for this crap, dude. But he respects Optimus, so he's not gonna say anything about it. Like what are we doing? I think this is a huge, huge, just bad thing for Optimus's character, and I really hope we don't go down this road where, this. I've seen people say it's a Flanderization of the character. I don't know if I would go that far, but like it's just weird for something like this to be said, let alone from Optimus himself. If like Megatron, Megatron's like said this, like, he said something along the lines like that in the finale of Warren Johnson's run. But for Optimus himself, just weird. It's weird. And I just hope it's, we find out later on that, oh, he just said that to test Thundercracker. Because maybe Optimus is kind of on edge, it's like, Decepticon, turning Autobot. I don't know, man. So maybe this was a little bit of a test to see like, Thundercracker, should we bring these guys up back online? But like, by the way, it's cool that we're getting Slipstream, or like a Slipstream cameo. I think that's cool. It's I hate this. I hate this so much. This like actually like, I can kind of let go of the Miles Mayhem stuff. I can let go the
Anyone
I
can let go of Miles
I can
Mayhem.
let that go because I don't care about that plot point. But the Bumblebee death explanation, I can let all that go. I can even let go the ending of this issue, which I have a problem with. But this right here, this is like I hate this, and like people might think I'm overreacting, and I think that's fine because I kind of am, but like it's just weird for Optimus to like say something like this or even suggest this. Like, buddy, you've been at war with these guys forever, and I know people are like, Optimus is freedom for the freedom is right for all sentient beings. These are war criminals, man. Like there's a line to be drawn. I don't know, dude. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, that's enough of me yapping.
It feels like it's a fair critique to say of Optimus Prime that maybe he's too wants to see
Too
the good in
soft.
it,
Yeah,
but it's weird for him to then be the one saying it.
exactly.
It should be
know,
like a
like-
Decepticon saying it to him or
yes.
something.
Right. When
Yes.
Megatron says it, you're like, yeah, that's a good point. But when Prime says it, you're like,
Huh?
no, like you're supposed to be that guy who like wants to see the good in all. Like, so I don't know. It's very confusing again to me because I also don't know what is Thundercracker, is that last panel of him, is he responding to just seeing his like fellow Decepticons laying there dead? Is he responding to like is he thinking about what Prime was just talking about? Was he because is it Prime kind of saying like, yeah, you know what, I do project kindness onto those that have none as a reminder, like, hey, I reached out to you, man. Like I reached out to Soundwave. I you know, is he trying to say like, you know, I do this because I want to see the good in people, and now is Thundercracker having a moment of reflection, like, yeah, okay, yeah, like he sees good in me, and maybe I see that good in myself by him saying that, you know. So maybe that is accomplished by Prime saying it out loud, but it felt weird. It felt weird for him to actually say it. So I don't hate it as much as Swizz does, but it's again, it falls into the whole, I think it's readers being spoon fed ideas, and but it comes at the cost of a character saying it. You know, it's fine. It's fine to address this kind of thing where like, oh, well, maybe Prime is too hopeful, but to convey that to the reader, again, that's fine. It just is weird how it's presented. Like how we got there is like, I don't know if I like that. So I don't know. I honestly I don't know what to make of the scene. So
Seems like we're pretty much all on the same page here. This is a very strange way to take Optimus as the character. I mean, I would agree with all of you guys that this just feels very off-brand, almost to the point where I've even seen some people
I
comment,
mean,
"Oh, this is not even Optimus Prime himself. This is a clone." And I'm like, if we're to
Oh
that
my
point,
god.
then
Whoa.
we're in bad shape, brother. This is bad news
It's
if that's
it's
where we're
Miles
at.
Mayhem. It's
but
the Nemesis
Yeah,
Prime, guys.
it's a Prime problem. It's the whole yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you didn't watch the
but
G.
what's strange,
but
just in the context of like this page, then with like the last thing that Prime says in this issue, it's like,
oh yeah, it's
how do you
whiplash.
where's that coming from then? Is
Yeah,
that because Thundercracker was like, is now
that's
Prime feeding off of Thundercracker? Like,
that's part of that's part of my problem with this. Like, and Swizz, I think you are spot on with like everything that you said. I don't think you're overreacting at all. Like, I hate this section just as much as you do. Like, this part sucks. Like, like I try not to get like super negative on things, but
that's
it's
like,
just like everything that we've talked about, so far, where it's just like, I where things end up, I'm okay with. It's just the getting there that leaves a lot to be desired. With this one, it's just like, I mean, it's like that to like the nth degree here, where it's like, you know, they and the thing that sucks is that there was like a through line here. Like Optimus could have just straight up been like, to call back to their conversation that they had earlier in the issue. It's like, hey, Thundercracker, do you think any of these Decepticons share your sentiments? Like, are any of them gettable? Could have just had like a very brief. I don't even know if you'd have to change any of the art here. You could just like add like a different line for Optimus at the start of it, and then Thundercracker's like, no, like don't bring them
I could
back.
say
Like,
dot dot dot.
you know what,
yeah,
that actually that makes the last panel of Thundercracker even more impactful if he's like, because it's then him saying, admitting that like, yeah, these guys are not, they're pretty terrible, and it's like, and it's making him admit to himself that, yeah, those are my old homies, like, but yeah, they're not good, don't bring them back. So
yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely feel like this is like it just doesn't feel like a very good Optimus moment unless, like Swizz said, this is some, huge like 4D chess kind of thing. And
yeah,
maybe
maybe.
that's why Thundercracker got the Autobot insignia, because he passed the test. It was the final
Good
test.
job. You did
Do
it.
you,
Yeah.
do you think should we bring Blitzwing back, Thundercracker? Yeah, actually, I think you should get him.
Get out of
He's
here.
lying.
Poor Wheeljack is like, what is going on? Optimus didn't tell him the plan.
Yeah.
But
Poor guy.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to blow completely past the Ultra Magnus RC stuff, but I do think that there is like that, there's like not that much to talk about on this page, but there's a lot to talk about on this page because it's just like, what are they doing with Optimus here? Like, it's just
Yeah.
infuriating.
Well, and I'll even say I did a little bit of a disservice to us all there by putting us in the conversation of that scene and Ultra Magnus together. Those are obviously two very separate storylines, which if you guys feel like we've said what we need to say about this whole Optimus thing, then I think it's a good time to move on to what's going on with Ultra Magnus and RC.
And the greatest entry into the Energon universe goes to Blaster. Like, I mean, talk about
which by the way, they're
disrespecting-
shooting real lasers just out and about. So if Carly or Spike are walking around, no more
Hey,
dinner.
let's go out to dinner. Just
Vaporized.
Just a bunch of steaming bones.
Oh no, only if my friend who turned into my family van could have saved him.
Who?
Just stay
Which
straight
character
ahead.
is that?
Oh no, his dad is dead and now he's okay. Anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
But like I mean, I guess after all of the revivals that had come already in the issue, I just was like, wait, there's two more. Like, and I thought this was not like the straw for me, but I just was like, come on, like I don't know, like it just felt like so disrespectful. The Blaster just be like, it just comes flying through there, like, yep, that's your entry into the Energon universe, and it's I guess it's kind of fun too. It's different. It's another way to introduce a character without having a "Hey, you're back too" scene, which I guess is okay. It just felt kind of, again, I just was like, really,
What are
you're
you
here
saying?
too?
Are you saying you think that Blaster? You don't think Ultra Magnus should be able to beat Blaster? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're telling me?
I just
here we go.
I just feel it's like, I don't know. It just there's so many people. There's so many Autobots that get revived in this issue. It's like an afterthought. They're just like, oh, let's just toss them around, like whatever.
Tossed
I
around
don't
like
know.
toys. Like, look at that panel with Sideswipe
Yeah.
and Blaster. They look like toys. It's like, I don't know
So-
if I like hate it or like it.
I actually, I mean, maybe that's a commentary for the end of the issue. But I know. Well, I'll just say it now because it's whatever. It's on topic. That's one of the critiques I have for Dan Mora's art. I think that it's almost too obvious that he's like drawing from reference type stuff. Like there's a technical aspect to the Transformers and the way he draws them that are very cool. I do like seeing it. However, they look like toys, and I think that's a big part of where I lose some of the emotion. Not that you need to see the emotion like in this specific scene of a Blaster just getting tossed around at Sideswipe, but that's one of the things that I think is missing for me is really feeling the heart and the emotion of the characters, and it's the way they're drawn. They look great. They look clean. The lines are drawn well. It's just you lose a certain I don't want to say humanity, but you lose some of the character, like, and it's not as heartfelt. And they look cool, but they don't feel like fully fleshed out characters. But yeah, that's my thought on that looking like a toy.
Who's gonna tell them that they are toys?
Wait, they are?
Not me. Not me.
And I say that jokingly, but I do absolutely agree with you. There's this is not going to make much sense, but there's almost, like you said, almost like a humanity lost to them to a degree. I like them. I like how clean they are and how, I mean, they are robots, but
Yeah.
there's just something about them that I look at them and I'm like, there they are. They're sitting there on the ground.
I agree, but I also think that
Yeah,
the
so
script
I
isn't
like-
doing the art any favors.
That's a good point, Moon.
Well, yeah. That's also true, and I've made that point already a couple times. So, yeah. I mean, Magnus looks on that page. The close up of Magnus, he looks cool. I like the way he's drawn.
Yeah, it's really dynamic. I think it's a fun image.
Well, he's just
when
going to be
he's-
called Ultra now because he's getting rid of his last name.
Yeah, he's gonna be called Ultra.
I was
now.
wondering about that. It's like,
He's just called
is he
Ultra.
going to be like RC Magnus or like Supreme Magnus or Hella Magnus? Like, how does it work? Like, does she get a new name?
Has this ever? I mean, I'm not I don't know this enough, but has the Magnus title been like a thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay. So
it's
that's
been
been
done
addressed
before.
before. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
And
been animated
what
kind
has
of did
it?
it.
Yeah,
What has
animated
it?
started it.
What did that mean? What did the title of Magnus
It
mean?
was like basically like the Delta back me up here because isn't it basically like just the leader of all like not Cybertronians but like the Autobots because like the way an animated works from how I remember there's like multiple primes because there's Sentinel
Mhm.
Prime.
Yeah, they're almost like military. Yeah, they're almost like
He's like
military
the
titles. There's multiple primes. You can become a prime or lose your prime title. And then there is Ultra Magnus who has his Magnus hammer, whatever it was called. And so it was a it was kind of a
Magnus was
title
above
version.
Prime, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
it
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
Chris.
in the Allspark Almanac they mention other Magnuses at some point, but I don't really recall. But it is a title. So
I
what do
Have
am
you
you
I'm
guys
guys?
what do we think about
Oh,
all that?
yeah. I mean, I like this part. I'm curious to see what you guys say, because maybe I'm the odd man out here again. But I'm intrigued by this part. I I like the where this is potentially going. I will say that it just I don't know, like the emotion is maybe not here. Like I feel like maybe there just could have been a little bit more emotion from Magnus. Like I don't know if the goal was to kind of make him seem kind of like a little detached and like maybe a little, like he's holding himself together with this, but it just kind of comes across as being like, yes, I am really messed up. I have a lot of trauma, but it just feels a little like, it's like I'm explaining it like I,
would you say I
I
I
felt
think
robotic?
yeah,
But
yes,
Ooh.
yes, I would actually, I would.
I know.
I think what I had to sit with this for a while because at first I felt so the first thing with Flag and Magnus is showing that like I'm not being truthful to Prime, and I didn't like that. I was like, why aren't you just talking to your boy? Like, just talk to Prime and be like, hey, let's not trust this guy fully yet. And so you get that him admitting that, then that scene, and then in this scene, right after he gets done training these guys and giving them good advice, he's like, yeah, I'm not up to this anymore. And I don't know, I do. One thing I find very interesting about it is I think it's smart to lean back into the kind of like the PTSD lasting impacts of what he went through because that doesn't go away just because he had his like stick for it for a while and then they attacked him and then he brought back into the fold and then it was like it led them into battle for prime epic moment. That was great in that moment, but I think it's good to take a step back and say, this guy's still kind of damaged. So at first, while I was like, no, he dealt with that. The more I sat with it, I was like, yeah, that is a good move to kind of say yeah, I am still pretty messed up, especially the shockwave that messed him up, and then what we learned later on in this issue. That to me is great breadcrumbs for where the story could go and is how to maybe build himself back up. So the more I think about it, the more I'm okay with this. I think it's interesting to have RC kind of step into a higher level role. Um, it just again in this moment, it felt a little like out of left field. So didn't love it. I'm okay with with where the story potential, but again, the execution was like I don't know. Like, is this the best way? Who
Totally,
knows?
totally.
So
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it definitely feels like they had the opportunities to do it as well. Like there just should have been like some things where we kind of got the sense that like Magnus was maybe slipping a little or struggling a little more. Um, unless we
We
were
did.
supposed to interpret that stuff that I interpreted him as being at odds with Optimus Prime as leading to this. I don't know. I didn't interpret it that way. I still don't. So,
Nor did I.
yeah.
And that's the thing is we haven't seen him slip. I don't think unless him thinking that he didn't single handedly destroy all of the Decepticons at the end in like the
Yeah, I don't
23
know.
issue 23 battle. But like, where else has he really slipped up? You know, after coming back from after being brought back into the fold.
I mean, he got owned by General
The
Flag. I
Flag,
mean,
right?
that,
He's like,
yeah.
I let that's it. He totally beat him down. He's like, I'm
Yep.
out. I'm out.
I'm
This
out.
guy.
You hurt my
Flag put him in
feelings.
retirement.
I had no comeback. I had no
Chiseled
comeback to
steel,
this
son.
guy.
Yeah.
Flag is taking out everybody in the Energon universe.
Yeah.
One by one.
There you go. That's the title. That's the title of this one. Flag taking
Watch
everyone
out, Megatron.
But I like that it brings in the Iron Apprentice again. I like that it reintroduces that idea between RC and Magnus. So that's cool. And again, it could lead to potential story. You know, if it's Magnus elevating Alita, and then, or I mean, Magnus elevating RC, and then Alita finds out, and then she's like, "Why? What the hell have I went
I
through all this
rescued
stuff
you."
to right." So
You know
so
how much I've
it's
sacrificed?
it could be, planting the seeds for those further stories, which is great. If that's what it's doing, awesome. Because that's all, I think some interesting plot threads that they could, directions they could take. So I don't know.
I like that the Iron Apprentice angle and the more cultural sides of Cybertron are not being thrown away, because I think there's some really neat ideas, maybe not entirely wholly unique to the franchise, but they're being done in some ways that are definitely interesting. You know, with clans and Iron Apprentice and whatnot. Moving into the next section is this is kind of the final wrap up before the finale of this issue, and we're getting to see Mirage and a bunch of the other Autobots be really just kind of weirded out by the fact that Thundercracker now has Autobot insignias on his wings, and they are upside down. Don't worry, to all the toy lovers, they are correct. Um, we've kind of already touched on what's going on there and kind of our issues. We can go into it as well here, but this section of the story kind of rounds out with some decent amount of dialogue with Bulkhead and Wheeljack, kind of giving us more a better sense of who Bulkhead is and how he tends to say things that at least I read as kind of in an awkward tone. But that, of course, reveals the fully rebuilt and refurbished Optimus Prime and all of his clean and glory and beauty, where he says that the Decepticons must be stopped once and for all. Which sure wish you would have said that in issue 1, buddy. But anyways, what are we thinking about? Again, we've talked about Thundercracker, but also Bulkhead's dialogue here. What are you thinking? Let's start with Moon.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this before, but like that whole thing where it's just like zooming in on his face and it's like, I promise I'll do everything in my power to earn them. Like, is it me, you guys? Like, is that like, do you guys think that that's like an effective way to kind of convey like the sentiment of the character, or like, because like I'm just getting like really hung up on some of like these choices, and this one like more so than the one where he's like in shadow in the trees. Um, I already talked about how, potentially like just because of how things are unfolding, maybe that's why I'm reading so much into it. But like, not even just being like sinister, like just like that just seems like a weird way to like present that sentiment. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. Is it me? Is it just me?
No, it's not you.
I just,
It's weird.
it's not you. The problem, it's what he's saying after the fact. Like, he's saying this after it's like after he has the insignia on him. Like, I just feel like there was no need for this to happen right now, other than for it to be a moment where people go, "Oh, he switched sides," and it's spoon feeding you. Like you're saying, again, it's like, "Oh, he's a good guy now." That's it. He's good, and I just don't. They didn't. This did not need to happen, unless they're doing it just because Flag knows that little purple head bad, so you need the little purple head off of Thundercracker because he's a good guy now. if that's the way they're
They're
presenting
doing
it
it
to the
for
military,
Flag's
right?
benefit.
They're doing it for like the military purposes. So
Guys,
it's like,
chiseled steel, but he doesn't know the gradients of war.
yeah. But that's the only reason that I can think of why they need to do it now. Because if they're out in battle, they need to be seen as allies, and the military, that's they've been told at this point, like, oh well, that's how you tell them apart. Like if they've got that on them, don't shoot them. And so that's really the only reason why he should have an Autobot insignia on him right now. But it just doesn't feel earned. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know. Like I will say I want to see where Kirkman is going to take this idea. I want to see what this is going to mean for the character as well as for each of the factions. So I'm intrigued by the possibilities for what this is going to be. It does, like you guys have said, like I've said, like we've,
yeah,
I'm just going to echo it again, but
Mhm.
it feels like we got here really fast.
for this plot thread,
Yep.
it started
It's
in
almost like
issue
that's
8.
like a common
It's like,
theme.
but
Yeah,
it's both.
it's
But
weird, right?
that's what's crazy. The crazy thing is, it again, it feels fast. However, it's been cooking for so long that
True.
it feels
It's true.
like so. But but I still feel like it. But I do feel like it's too fast, even
Right.
though it's been around for a long time. So I don't know. And I do think, I think you, Moon, I think you said it earlier, that I think maybe it's just Kirkman saying, all right, enough. Like we've committed like enough of the story to say, okay, now he's made this switch. He's made his mind up, and this is where we're going. So and that, okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't feel like it takes away fully by having the insignia on there. It just makes it does, if the idea is there's people that are coming on board with this story arc, it presents it, the idea like, oh, he's a good guy now, and he is a bad guy that is now a good guy, and that concept will land with a lot more people that might not in the Transformers comic book. So I happen to not be one of those people. I want to see the nuanced stuff, but it is a way to present an easy idea of this guy was bad, now he's good.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what else is there to say. Like, it just uh, all of it just feels rushed. Like I really could let all of this go, but the fact that like we had the whole Optimus stuff already in this interaction, like it
Mhm. It just
just
adds
leaves
on
us
top.
just yeah, it just adds on top. It just I don't know. And like to like answer your question earlier because I didn't get my chance to speak on it. I actually kind of like this direction of Bulkhead, with him
Mhm.
being this younger, awkward, brash kind of guy. I have a hard time when I, you know, see him speak. I have a hard time with what voice in my head like I want to use for him. Do I want to use the Transformers Prime Bulkhead or the animated Bulkhead? I think I've landed on animated Bulkhead. You
Mhm.
Me
know,
too.
it sounds like something he would say. But I mean, other than that, like just feels and like people are gonna scratch their heads here, and that's fine. It just feels unearned and like when I mean like people are gonna scratch their heads because they're gonna be like, oh well, he already said he's an Autobot. I think it would have been cool if he kind of remained without the Autobot insignia, at least for right now. It just feels too fast, too unearned, too rushed because it's going to be hard. And hopefully, this is something we see in the future issues. Hopefully, we see some of the Autobots speak up, about how Thundercracker just quickly switched sides and how Optimus was okay with it. Hopefully, we do see some kind of not to the extent of like Alita 1 where it's like, oh, Optimus Prime's the enemy. No, I just hope like some of these guys do kind of speak up because again, shout out to Wheeljack, he's just,
He's tripping,
following
man.
orders. Yeah, he like you can just tell he does not like this at all.
And
So
everyone
hopefully
there besides Wheeljack is somebody who was brought back after the fact.
exactly. So it's
So
just
so maybe you have RC that could be like when she comes in and say, "What, dude? What?"
What's
Um,
going on? I just became a Magnus and what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the compromise would have been just no insignia, just get rid of the Decepticon logo and
Mhm.
just
I think that would have been fine.
leave his wings like blank, and then make him earn them in battle or through actions, and that would have been fantastic.
Seems like a pretty low bar to clear
Right?
to,
Exactly. Yeah. It's like because it
Well,
just
see,
feels like
the
he
the
just
thing
said
is, some people are
yeah.
gonna roll their eyes though at that because they're gonna be like, "Oh, bro, it's not that deep. It's an Autobot insignia." And like my argument
Yeah.
to that is like, it's a huge thing. That's a
It
huge
is very deep.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
huge deal. It's not it, like we've seen in other media, some movies you would say where it's like a, snap of the fingers and boom, you change sides. But I feel like in this story, it's a lot deeper than that. Like it's just, it's the thing morally, and like we know Thundercracker's been struggling with that side of Decepticons. I'm not arguing that at all. I just think it's hard for me to see him get the Autobot insignia so fast. I feel like that's something you have to earn. Like I feel like I kind of feel like that would be the same way with the Decepticons. Like that's something you have to earn. I mean, it's like sure you can be an honorary Decepticon, sure you can be an honorary Autobot, but I mean you gotta trust your own brothers. And like if I'm like Trailbreaker or any of these other guys, I'm gonna be a little bit worried, man. I might be looking back. And I've seen some people comment saying, okay, so now we have Thundercracker, join the Autobots. Does that mean Mirage is going to join the Decepticons because, G1, that whole thing?
Mhm.
And I hope not, because I think that would take away a lot of Thundercracker's progression, because then it really would just be like, okay, well, I'm going to be on this side now. And then, no, I'm going to be on this side. I mean, I don't know what else to add, man. It just feels rushed and unearned. And I'm not a Thundercracker hater at all, but it's also weird too. And I hope it's a coloring mistake. But yeah, the blue eyes and
I feel like it is. I think it's just a
it's
mistake.
it's gotta be, it's gotta
That
be,
last panel where his Thundercracker's eyes are
because
blue
then
instead of
that
red.
would be really weird, like the way how
Yeah,
that
but
works.
they didn't change until
Yeah,
this
just the
moment.
moment he
Yeah.
gets the Autobot. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be
Who gave him
weird.
the Autobots insignias, by the way? Who did that?
I like to imagine it's like
Mm.
stickers. They're just it's like
Yeah.
We're
labels. Like
crudely
wait,
drawn on.
hold still real quick, and then they
Yeah.
just slap it on.
Plop it
Well,
on.
I think we're all in agreement that, I mean, we're all okay with Thundercracker being in
We like the
Alliance.
progression. It's just
Look,
too
And
fast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
and like,
Thundercracker's story has been one of my favorite,
Absolutely.
subplots in the entire series so far.
Yeah.
So him going on this journey is great, and maybe that's why maybe it feels too rushed because I was so invested into this journey, and then it is that switch. So even though ultimately it's going to the point where I wanted it to go, it's just like, hold up,
right.
So that's all. And so like I like where this is going. That's what makes it so I'm so conflicted as to what I think about this specific page. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Also, I mean, come on. The whole thing that Optimus says about to rid this
yeah.
planet of all Decepticons once and for all. It's like, oh, including the guys that you were just about
You
to
were
bring
trying to
back.
bring
Wanted to
back?
save
Like,
Like,
what?
what?
What you didn't
Come
see is the
on,
next thing he
man.
does is he goes and just rips them apart. Oh, like starting with these three.
So
Give me
weird.
your face.
Thank goodness Thundercracker has little red face on it, otherwise I wouldn't know.
They're all like, "Yeah, get him!"
Thundercrackers, they're like, maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe it shouldn't
It's a good
maybe
thing I have
shouldn't
the
switch
Autobot
sides.
decal now.
He's over in the corner, like rubbing it on his wing. He's like, "Make it disappear, make it go away."
Guys, that's why this isn't Optimus Prime. This is Miles Mayhem.
It's Miles Mayhem Prime.
Miles Prime. Oh man. All right. I think we're all pretty.
But hey, side note, it is good to see Prime like fully restored again. That's good. That's good. Eh, with what this story arc is all about is just kind of resetting all the game pieces. It's good to see Prime fully operational again.
It's been a while too, right?
Brian, like since like the very beginning. I mean, he was.
He lost weight. I don't like how lanky he is. That's one of my biggest critiques of Mora. I don't like this look. Which is
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
because like out of all of us, like I think the person who dislikes, because I don't want to use the word hate, but dislikes the art style the most is definitely you, Moon.
Yeah, probably. So just to clarify, I am like really I do think that Mora's art is improving. I think Delta said this earlier, but like I am appreciating it more as we go into it. And it's not that like I can recognize like what he is bringing to the table. Like obviously he's a very capable artist, and he like uh in terms of his technical ability, it's like very staggering. Like he's very, very good.
Yeah.
It just is not doing a lot for me in terms of I don't really I don't find it all like the exciting moments I don't find all that exciting. The emotional moments I don't find all that emotional. Yeah, I miss some of the more out there things that we had. And to be fair to Mora, I don't know how much of that is a Dan Mora problem and how much of that is, I mean, obviously it's a me problem, right? It's just not connecting with me. But like, I don't
No,
know
no, we're
if
never
like,
wrong. It's never our fault, man.
but I don't know if like, there's a part of me that's like, do these guys like really like click together as like a creative duo? Because right now I feel like neither one of them is bringing out the strengths of the other. So,
That's a good point. Yeah.
No, and again, I really want this to be about looking ahead. I don't want to, and over time we're gonna get there. It's just I don't want to every episode we record to then compare it to like Jorge Corona or because
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
it's unfair.
Of
However,
course.
it's also I'm doing it every time I read this comic book. And so I miss Jorge Corona and the what even Corona. So actually, so far every artist on the book so far has brought out the emotion of the characters much more effectively than Dan Mora. Now,
Howard did a great job. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not
I mean,
just
talk about the
yeah.
innocence of Starscream and Howard. Like, I mean, he that was a perfect 2 issues for him to draw because you really felt like sorry and you felt bad for Starscream and because of the way that he drew like the innocence and the youthful like jubilant nature of Starscream. You're like so anyway um it's missing for me here. And Mora is amazing. Like you look at some of the, and I've said it before, the way he draws superheroes, unreal, man. Like I think he draws a great Superman, a great Batman. It's just here, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting the emotions of the characters, and that's a big part of why I love this series. I love I'm gonna love the plot threads and where it's going and all the different factions at play, and that's still gonna be interesting to me. But there's a big part of it that's missing right now in Mora's art, and I don't. I mean, I'm saying that from a point of view like I could do, anything near what I can't draw at all. So I love his talent. I mean, the way he draws the bots that look technical, it's great. And for a lot of people, as I said in my video, like I feel like so many people are going to love this issue, and it's just the art style is not for me. But it's the exact opposite for so many. Like they want this clean look. They want these robots looking like this, and I just don't. So, and that I know is a me thing. So it's not just you, Moon.
Well, that's
Maybe
that's
it's
that's
maybe it's
comforting.
us thing.
It's a terrible thing to be alone.
We're being too level-headed. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said it. I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I want so many people to love this comic book, and I can overlook a lot of things as long as that is maybe connecting to another group of readers, or if we can grow the readership of the book, that's good for everybody. So I'm
100%. Like
and
I want the series to do well. I want
yeah,
everybody to succeed. And it's just like just because I may not be uh feeling the art or some of the story stuff just because I have some criticisms, like that doesn't mean that I am like get this comic out of here. Like
right.
I want it to succeed. I want it to do well. I want the creative teams to succeed and do well. So it's not coming from a place of hate or like spite or
It's
anything
just
like that.
we live in a time where if we say anything critical at all, it's oh these guys hate this comic book. And it's like, no, I love it so much. That's why I have a lot of things to say about it, and I still love it. And it's okay to be like, well, this wasn't peak. And because like we talk about the lack of nuance, it's either trash or peak. And that's it. Like it's that's how people respond to things anymore. So
And
I
that
don't
is
know.
how we will be ranking the issues at the end.
Exactly.
Yes,
Trash or peak.
exactly.
So um I'm having a lot of fun. And maybe I'll get more into like the post plot recap. But yeah, well let's finish off the
Yeah,
the
let,
actual
let's
plot thread and then
finish.
we'll close it out.
Yeah, we got 2 pages left.
Yeah.
2 pages. Nothing much could happen in 2 pages. We're back on Cybertron and we see old Cliffy. He's scavenging some parts and talking to himself and hiding out, and we get some dialogue from the heights of Cybertron. I will say it is interesting that Cybertron seems to be pretty vibrant and alive. I mean, there's nobody else there, but it seems like they've
What
got a lot of energon going on.
I feel like
Uh,
this is at first I was like it's jarring, it's a jarring change, but I think that's the point. I think this is still like the Decepticon stronghold, so therefore
mm,
it's not the like the destroyed wasteland where like the Autobots are allowed to exist. This
That's where
is
all
good
the
like
point.
good stuff's at.
it's like yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like the
Speaking
vibrant part of Cybertron.
speaking of the good stuff, up on top of this tower is Spider-Man Shockwave. Shockwave is alive.
Your friendly
Shockwave
neighborhood shockwave.
Friendly, yeah. I had to
Shockwave
look at this art a few times and be like, what is he
2099.
doing? Is he hitting the Spider-Man pose?
This is the
And that's
definition
Where
of ore
is his
farming, dude.
head?
Like this is like there is no
Yeah.
reason for him to be doing this. Like Kirkman and Mora literally like, hey, let's just have him look really cool up on this tower.
Dude, your eyeball is gonna roll out and just like fall down to the where
He's gonna dangle off of a wire.
and he's swearing. He says so swears. He's swearing, guys.
Oh,
The first swearing and what
M-rated Transformers comic.
Emery Transformer going. Swizz, what do we think about this reveal that Shockwave is indeed alive and he's here to mess up some Autobots?
This is my second least favorite part of the book. I know
Uh-oh.
some people are excited and hyped and they're like, oh, Shockwave. You know, like shout out to the real ones back in issue 12 and they're like, oh, he's not dead. Like they knew something. Like they just and like I know that's the nature of Shockwave, like especially in media over the years. Like he never dies. Like I think it was the Marvel comics that was the idea that he has like multiple clones of him. I don't know, man. I don't like this at all because I would rather have them introduce some already existing characters on, Cybertron or maybe some new
Corpana?
characters. Yeah, yeah.
But
Like
who would let me ask you that. I'm not even to challenge you. I just who would be like if you needed to have a villain on Cybertron, who would you want that to be if not Shockwave?
Corpana.
man, there's Scorponok. There but
Very
like
Shockwave-esque character.
look, there's many ways you can go about it because when I say existing characters, you can bring in, some of the characters in the later G1 cartoon and repurpose them. I mean, IDW's famous for doing that with Cyclonus. I mean, we could have seen,
Yeah.
different characters come in. I mean, Sound Blaster. I mean, in media over the years, it's established that Sound Blaster and Soundwave are two completely different characters. I mean, we could have had a whole different faction introduced. We could have had like mercenaries. Like this could have been something completely different. And I'd rather have Shockwave. I'm not hating Shockwave coming back. I hate how it's done because Shockwave coming back to me, like that's like a mic drop moment, but it didn't need to be in this issue. It could have been like honestly
Could have
at
been
the
an
end of
email.
this volume. It could have been like at the end of the volume, like over on Cybertron, and then Shockwave's back, and you're like, oh boy, like next volume's gonna be crazy. To me now, there's too many plot points going on in this volume. I don't know, dude. I don't
Yeah.
like it, and like it defeats that moment Optimus had with Shockwave, and like that was like the really huge pivotal moment of what started the whole, oh, like Optimus Prime, bulking out, that with the whole fusion cannon arm. To me, it defeats that purpose. Like that was a huge moment in the story of Optimus just completely blacking out and like caving in. Because like I like it's not like he was choking out Shockwave. No, this dude was like caving in his head. Like it was a brutal death. And to me, like he's just here, like nothing happened. I hope next issue or throughout this volume, it's explained as to how he's here and how he's back, and this isn't just like over the next couple of issues here and there because they've been doing that,
Well,
over on
his spark
Cybertron.
wasn't too far gone. That's
Right. Yeah.
They dragged his body to the well of
Fine.
sparks,
It was
man.
just his
Yeah,
head. It wasn't his jaw.
right. No,
Exactly.
you're right. You guys are right. No,
he
you know
had
what?
no
Why?
he has no jaw. That's why he can't die.
Right.
You know what? I love this part.
Untouchable,
You
baby.
guys, you guys open up my eyes. This is
Yeah, we're
peak,
we're
man. This
we're
is
bringing you back from that ledge, man. Don't do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is peak, bro. It's so cool
Trash
that
to
he's
peak.
back.
2 minutes.
He's aura farming. He's back. Oh, it's so peak, man. Nah, I mean that's my thoughts. I don't like this at all, but I'm probably in the minority.
I know. Moon. Let's hear your thoughts. What do you think about this return?
Okay, so I'm going to. It was a two-part reaction for me. Um, when I flipped the page and saw Shockwave, I just kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, okay, here we go. Everybody's just coming back. Everybody's we're doing the thing where everybody comes back. Um, but the more I've sat with it, the more I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like I don't know. Of all the things that happen in this issue that I am not a big fan of, this is the one that feels kind of like, I guess, the least bothersome to me. But that being said, I do 100% agree with what Swizz said, where I definitely think that it kind of cheapens the story beat with Optimus, that whole thing. It's almost like really good stories need to have a strong beginning, middle, and an end, which is not always conducive to the world of an ongoing comic series. Um, so like I yeah, I'm mixed on it, Like I go back and forth. Like it's overall I think that I'm okay with it and I'm willing to see where it goes, but I do think that it would have been it would have been interesting to see, like Swizz was saying, somebody else kind of step up to fill the power vacuum.
The only thing I would say in response to that I would rather have it be Shockwave because I mentioned a couple, I forget how many when I mentioned this, but the idea of when Alita had her like heel turn and like the idea of Alita interacting with Shockwave to me was interesting because she seemed to be okay with his plan. So for Alita's story, I like that Shockwave is back. I also like that Shockwave is back for potentially Ultra Magnus's or Ultra or whoever he is.
Ultra.
I'm Ultra. Um, because like there's unfinished business there, and there's a resolution. If you're saying now that Magnus is doubting himself and he's still dealing with past trauma, there's really no easier way to maybe address that than by potentially getting him to Cybertron and have him confront Shockwave down the line, because there's I can see plot threads converging because you got Alita and Ultra Magnus. If Ultra Magnus is questioning his place on Earth, does he end up somehow back here and deal with Shockwave? So I like the story potential that Shockwave returning brings us. I also think it's true that it diminishes the moment with Optimus Prime and Shockwave. However, the more that I spend time with the Kirkman era, um, this might be a hot take, but we really need to. I almost think we need to differentiate the Daniel Warren Johnson 24 issues into like the now Energon universe Kirkman era from 25 on, because it's going to be more connected. It's going to have more to do with Void Rivals, and so I think that's just the reality that we live in. So for the 24 issue Daniel Warren Johnson run, that moment will always be super impactful, and it's there and it's fine. Shockwave, especially with this story being called Generation One, like on the trade paperback cover, the title for this volume is Generation One. So if you're telling us that was all kind of like the preamble stuff, the 24 issues to get to now is Generation One, everything that happens in this issue makes sense. But to get the Generation One type dynamic, so that also seems to be way too early for Shockwave to be out of the picture completely. He's just too important of a character. So I'm okay with him coming back because I think it provides, again, interesting plot threads that we can see down the line.
You raise good points. He is intricately tied to Alita and Ultra Magnus. So, I mean that is true. I will say that despite everything, like this, he looks like a goofy bastard on this last page, and I kind of like that because Shockwave is. I mean, obviously he's a threat and everything, but he's kind of a goofy bastard in this in this series. Like at one
And
He's
point
like an
he
evil
says something about
scientist.
I'm tickled purple, like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
he's silly.
But
So
maybe we'll see a change in him. Maybe there is like a personality change too, which would be fun. That'd
right.
be fun
I
to
do
see,
remember a lot of
like that
people
would
were
be
speculating about that, whereas like he was way more emotional and everything, and so maybe like him getting his head popped is gonna be,
more,
more of
yeah.
the
More
traditional. Although
logical.
it's
Yeah.
not, he's not really giving off
You
that
don't see it
vibe right
here,
now.
Yeah.
Not with swearing by himself, no.
No swears. Shockwave.
True, very true.
I agree with most of what you said, Carl. I just kind of disagree at the end point because I wouldn't want to have the mindset of separating the story arcs because I feel like it makes it even more hard to let this story breathe because we're starting with all this stuff. And my biggest problem with the story so far is it seems like Kirkman's just hitting a reset on everything when like I was under the impression that he was just gonna pick up with what was happening in the story, but instead it just seems like it's a huge reset, and I don't think that's a good idea because it's just gonna be moving. It's the whole idea of like, one step forward, two steps back, or however. So
Yeah.
I think I I do agree though with like the whole Magnus and Alita part, and like I think Alita's gonna freak out. I think Alita's like at her breaking point, even more so once she finds out Shockwave's back. Because yeah, they were really happy when, Shockwave was done with on Cybertron. But I don't know. You could have like this might be a deep pull here, but they could have done like the whole like Insecticon thing. Like I know like the Cybertron games, like that was something with Shockwave, he created the Insecticons, like that type of idea. Like I think there's a lot to pull from instead of just ultimately relying on someone who's as popular as Shockwave. I think this could have been a good opportunity to introduce some other Decepticons into the story. And, like who knows, right? Like, in these next couple of issues that, we could see that, we could get like a backstory on why or how Shockwave's back. But I I think it just cheapens everything that's happened, especially with like volume two, which was like, in my opinion, my favorite volume, especially with that ending with issue 12. So I
Yeah.
don't know. To me, it rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, it's not your. I mean, I share similar reactions. I mean, it does cheapen to a degree, but it was
Yeah.
going to happen eventually. So I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that it was really well put what you said, Carl, about how I mean it's really hard to like disconnect and differentiate between the but it does feel like okay, this is something different now. And like I think to Swizz's point as well, like I share the sentiment that like Kirkman was very much like, no, 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 don't worry. We're going to continue this. And it kind of feels like this issue, he's like, actually,
Never mind.
I'm going to rip the
It's
band-aid off
psych.
because I have,
Actually,
have
guys,
other
dot, dot,
plans.
dot.
So,
But that really is how because I'm really trying to get my own mind right as far as accepting of the changes, because it was all born from the fact that Kirkman was like, "Yeah, this is a direct continuation of everything that's been done before." And you read it and you're like, "I don't believe you." And I don't think it's I don't it's okay. I mean, I think there are changes being made, and it is him, getting let me put it this way. I feel like what they did with January Johnson was they said to get him to commit to 24 issues, they're going to be like, we need you to get from this point to this point, and you can cook however you want to cook. But then Kirkman they were like, don't worry about the larger Energon universe. Do what you want to do. As long as we end up here, we're good.
As long as
Uh,
Jetfire's alive.
well, that I swear, the only reason Jetfire was brought onto the arc in that one panel and then never mentioned again was because Kirkman's like, "Hey, can you figure out some way, like somewhere in those issues, get Jetfire back onto the arc?" And that was it. And Johnson's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Like, there you go, fine.
It makes sense though, because like Shockwave, and I forgot to bring this up, Shockwave and Jetfire, like that's those are Kirkman's guys. Like, like that's
Yeah,
why like I have a hard time, ultimately hating that. I dislike this. I wouldn't say I hate it, but it kind of makes sense. Like Kirkman, Jetfire and Shockwave, those are his guys. He used those guys in the early
and
Void Rivals.
right.
Like,
So
these guys are very pivotal to the Energon universe, how it started. So it makes sense, but come on. Like, I don't know.
you're
Like, it
yeah,
just
yeah,
could have been
it's
done better.
100% valid points. Um, it's just I'm just saying that it's how I'm trying to like train my mind to just be like,
Yeah.
look, I want to judge the Kirkman era against itself, not necessarily against what we've read before. Because let's face it, like we're like throwing out tens like they're candy, like 10, in
Right.
previous Dan Warren
Yeah.
Johnson issues, and that's just not the reality that we're living in here. When comparing, if you compared I mean, I don't know about everyone, that's not fair, but every issue so far under the Kirkman era, if you compared it to what like the rating system, it's unfair. Like these are not, in my mind, the same caliber of a story, because it's just different. It's not apples to apples. So I'm trying to like compare these against the previous Kirkman issues. So that's just you can not everyone has to disconnect or say there's like view the Jenny Warren Johnson 24 issues separately than this stuff. It's just that's what I'm gonna try to do, because I think I'm gonna end up enjoying the comic a lot more if I can successfully do that.
I feel like that's what I've been trying to do as well. I mean, I know that I will refer to the Johnson run from time to time, because I think you kind of have to, because you're still essentially dealing with the same characters and like the same chronology and history and all of that stuff. But I've definitely been trying to do that. But even when doing that, I still think that this issue has fallen very short of even what Kirkman has done. Even trying to look at it in a vacuum of just like Kirkman's Transformers, like this issue, I don't know, man. Something about this issue just did not work for me.
I think that can lead us right into our scoring
I mean,
process.
he
And
could
Yeah.
not have queued that up for you
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
yeah, I was sitting here being like, what part? What part of the
How am I going to get to the
podcast do you
scores?
think?
Here comes Moon.
I think again that's going to bring us right into review scores. So I will get mine out of the way. That way we can. I think you guys have a lot more to say about this than I do. I'm gonna give this issue. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I went back and forth on a 5 to a 6. There's a few things in here that I enjoy more than I did the last two issues, 25 and 26, which I also gave sixes. But ultimately, I feel like the amount of things that I do enjoy in this issue, there are more things that are holding it back, and so I just feel that it's going to get a 6 again. I don't want to go into a, well, technically this is a 6.75. No, it's going to be a 6 for me, just like the last issues. And with that, I'd love to hear Swizz's number rating on this.
Well, I mean, I probably am gonna be the only one that has a score here. I'm on the opposite I am like I thought the writing was okay this issue, and I'm going to give it an okay, dare I say, middle of the road, dare I say a mid rating. I'm giving this a flat 5 out of 10. Um, there's to me, I feel like I enjoyed the last two issues more than this because there's just like I said before, I could let a lot of the stuff go, but considering what's happened in this issue, I just can't. And like it's a what if scenario. So the Optimus dialogue really rubbed me the wrong way. The Shockwave stuff rubbed me the wrong way. This whole issue felt very rushed. It feels very fast pacing, and that's crazy to me because like yeah, the Warren Johnson run, the pacing in that was also fast, but like I don't feel like it's anywhere near this level of speed. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Do I hate the story? Absolutely not. I'm still looking forward to this every month, and I just think there's a lot of growing pains with the writing, and I do think comparing 3 issues to 24 issues isn't fair, but it's the whole idea of we know what this story has been in the past. We know what the story is capable of, and it's just not hitting the mark. And I'm just gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
It's a 5 out of 10 for me as well.
Hmm.
Um, I I felt pretty good about the previous two issues. Um, Obviously, they didn't floor me as much as the Johnson issues, but I thought, considering them for what they were, um, I was intrigued by what Kirkman was setting up and where everything was going. And I feel like this issue kind of just uh, made me pump the brakes a little bit because it just feels like it's kind of undoing some of the stuff that Kirkman himself, like it's not just like, reverting things to a new Kirkman status quo from what Johnson had set up. It's like Kirkman kind of just, sweeping aside the stuff that he was like setting up. Now, part of that is maybe just my own fault because it's like, well, I developed like certain expectations for where certain threads might go or whatever. But again, got to come back to the whole thing where it's like, I'm not necessarily opposed to where things wind up in this issue. It's more of how they're getting there. And I think that in the first two issues of Kirkman's run, I didn't have I didn't really have an issue with how things were progressing. And here it just kind of feels like it just it's not it's not really doing it for me. So, yeah, I think it's a 5 out of 10 for me, unfortunately. But I'm just to echo Swizz, like I'm still, excited to see where it goes. Like I think that when all is said and done, I think that I'm going to enjoy where this story ends up. And I think that this is just kind of an unfortunate bump in the road that definitely kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste. But they can win me back for sure. I'm not done with the series
You're
or
not
anything.
swearing off Transformers.
Not yet. Soon. But
Soon, yeah, we'll get there.
We always have GI Joe.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, Carl,
Dude, GI Joe's cooking, Swizz. You should read it.
I will concur with Carl.
Do
G.I.
it.
Joe is
Do
really
it.
good. But since we're here to talk about Transformers, Carl,
Yeah. It's such a tough one, guys. Like this is so if you asked me to rate this as soon as I read it, I would have just roasted this entire comic. Like it just felt, because I was still under the mindset of believing Kirkman in a sense where like nothing has changed and it's just going to pick up right where, he's like, if I do my job right, you're not going to notice a change. And I was like, well, we notice a change. Now, I don't necessarily think, I think it's an okay change in voice given what the larger goal is. And I think it's important to take a look at Energon universe and that they will be more connected moving forward. We have Optimus Prime and Duke meeting. There'll be, I think, issue 20 that's been solicited. So that stuff is coming. The interconnected stuff is coming, and I think we have to be at peace with that because this has been largely a separate comic for the first 2 years, and that's not necessarily going to be the case moving forward. I think that it will be largely, contained, but there will be more, I think, crossover type stuff. All right, I'm just dancing around it. So over time, I read it again today, and the things that bothered me as far as it was the multiple characters returned. They felt cheap. They felt unearned. They didn't feel as impactful as they could have been. That was my initial reaction. I still feel like it's a lot, but once I wrap my head around the idea of the title of the story being Generation 1, the fact that Dan Mora is only here for 6 issues, the more I take a look at what this story, what this 6 issues is trying to accomplish, it's really just moving those pieces around to get us to a familiar G1 dynamic where it's a lot of Autobots, a lot of Decepticons, there's humans involved, and go from there. And I feel like this issue gets us in that direction. So there are some dialogue things that I don't approve of, but I also don't want to get stuck in the weeds too much about. I feel like the way Kirkman writes, he's writing for the reader, but even though you sometimes need to see the characters say those things instead of have it be implied through the art, and that part I don't love. I don't love that some of the characters, like with Prime voicing his own, maybe I am too kind. No, Prime, you should be too kind. That's who we want you to be. But it's just the idea of him saying it out loud doesn't feel right. However, it gets the point across to the reader, and that's going to play to a lot more of an audience. And I've said it before, like this is like more a comic for the masses now, and that helps us get there. It gets some of those character traits of Optimus Prime out there, even though we don't like him saying it. It conveys it to the reader. So, with all of that said, I feel like I enjoy this about as much as I enjoyed last issue, and I landed on a 7.5 for that one. So I'm going to go with 7.5 for this one. Now, much like Moon said last time, 7.5 here compared to like it's a different scale, and I'm trying to score the things, score the issues moving forward based on what this part of the story is, and not rating it against Daniel Warren Johnson's run. So yeah, I like a lot of the things that were where we ended up. I like the potential story threads that are introduced. The Magnus stuff is interesting. Thundercracker stuff is interesting. There's a lot here to enjoy. The Shockwave reveal I liked because of the the RC, or the Leto 1, the Ultra Magnus. Yeah, so I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm not ready to jump ship just yet, but we'll
Swizz
see.
and
We'll
I
see
are
where it
jumping
goes from
ship.
here.
We're
Yeah, you guys-
changing our channels
yeah.
to go butts.
So yeah, 7.5, and that's what
All right, so we got
where I'm at.
a pretty good spread out of this. I think, as per usual, we've had a wonderful conversation as this comic has gone on. We've kind of landed in different places when it comes to scoring, but I feel like we're all four of us here are for the most part very very on the same page with our overall thoughts. But it's also great just these conversations because it gets each one of our minds thinking, and oh well, I never thought about it from Moon's perspective, or I never really considered this the way that Swizz explained it. And I think that's great for the four of us, but I also hope that it's informative and good for our listeners who listen to this podcast. Which, speaking of, I recently posted on the Teletraan Tapes YouTube channel without consulting these other guys here, as I tend to do, unfortunately, about you, the audience, letting us know what you thought about the issue, and that we would possibly read them off in this episode. We've already been recording for 2 hours, so I'm going to break my promise and lie to you all. But what I think we can do in response is we'll go through some of those comments, because some of these comments are really long and very detailed, and I really really appreciate that. I think we can kind of go through and have some text based responses to people in there on our own personal channel. So I'll make sure that I do that, and I will force our other hosts here to do that as well. You guys are on the hook for something that I promised we would do without consulting you guys.
No,
as
I
usual.
yeah, I fully support that. I want to see what people think, and I said it in the video that I did recorded on my channel. I was like, so many people are absolutely going to love this issue, and
Mhm.
I love that for them, that they love this issue.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. Like I said, I want this comic to do well, and I think that that's,
I
you
think we
know,
all do.
I think
Yeah.
that that's
Mhm.
like a way sometimes to gain an appreciation for something that maybe doesn't click with you is you hear from the people who are feeling the most passionate about it. And I mean, not always, but sometimes, you can change your mind, or it's just, it's kind of in the vein of what you were saying, Delta. It's like, oh, I never really thought about it that way.
Mhm.
So yeah, totally. It's a shame that we couldn't get to those, but I definitely am curious what people think about this issue for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So we'll be looking at those comments on that YouTube post, and of course, let us know what you think in the comments of this video. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, then hop on over to the YouTube page. It's the best way to communicate with us, and you can of course always comment on our own videos as we talk about this series ongoing. Guys, thanks for being here as always. I think this was a great conversation, and despite my my number score, I am still very excited to see where the series goes with issue 28, and ultimately in the long run. So thanks for being here, guys. Bye.